What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I got a couple reports that I want to get into that I think are really, really important. And I think you'll see why in just a moment when I get to them. But before I do, I just want to say that, just when you think, I'm not particularly surprised if I'm being honest, but just when you think the NFL could go as low as they could possibly go, here they go again, making sure that that barrel has no bottom. So what am I talking about? Well, the first of the two reports that I want to give you is the NFL proposes holding 35% of player salaries in escrow during the 2020 season. That's absurd. That's absolutely absurd. And that's just the headline. But let's get into the actual details. The NFL reportedly pitched to the NFLPA a potential plan to hold 35% of player salaries in escrow to help manage costs during the 2020 season in the event that the COVID-19 pandemic affects league revenue, according to Tom Pelissero of NFL Network. So in other words, on top of the waivers and, cutting roster sizes just to expand them again, or expand practice squads to have additional bodies during the season, they're doing all, and then asking them to take pay cuts, all these different things they are doing to fuck players. And now all of a sudden they're saying that the guys that are gonna be there, that are fortunate enough to not get, lose their jobs to begin with or whatever, are gonna have 35% of their salaries just held by the league because they're gonna need to cover the losses in revenue. Out of all the ways that they're fucking the players and ultimately going to be fucking the fans because they're going to get caught in these outbreaks too, and all for profit, out of all those ways, they found yet another one. And it's the most horrendously ludicrous thing you could think of, aside from if we get to the season and there's outbreaks and people start dying. If they keep pushing for it at that point, that's as low as you can fucking go. And that's why I'm not surprised, because they haven't gotten that low yet, because they haven't had an opportunity. Anyway, the NFLPA's response, basically we told them to kick rocks. Of course they did, because it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So you want them to sign waivers so you don't have any responsibility if they get sick or whatever. You want to take pay cuts from them. You want to fire a bunch of guys right off the bat. And then you want to hold 35% of their paychecks? Like, what the fuck? Essentially, like I said, I'm not surprised because they haven't reached the foreseeable bottom, but we'll see if they even push past that one. Anyway, NFLPA executive Don Davis told players during a conference call per Pelissero. The union said any escrow plan must be collectively bargained. With the NFLPA voting to cancel the entire preseason, the looming possibility of having no fans in the stands due to the coronavirus pandemic, and even the possibility of postponed or canceled games, the NFL is facing the prospect of a reduced revenue stream. Yeah, but guess what? They are a multi-billion, if not multi-trillion-dollar company. Every single one of the 32 owners is a billionaire. I think they'll be okay. Sorry if I'm not going to cry for these rich fucking assholes that want to rob. Look, to be fair, you can say that players make a lot of money too. Certainly not the fringe guys that are just getting outright cut and losing their jobs. They don't make shit. They, had a hope and a dream and a prayer to get into the NFL being a fringe player on one of these squads. And now that training camps rosters are going to get reduced, they're not going to have jobs at all. And it's going to be still during a pandemic, and they're not going to have health care. They're not going to have all these things. And so their lives could potentially just be ruined. Okay. But then you have the rest of these guys, that are there. And then they start trying to take their pay and all this other stuff. And they don't have it, right? That's not where they should be. It's not the most vulnerable, the least powerful, and the people who have the least amount of means that you start. It's like the whole taxation argument. But anyway, it's absurd. So But as Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk wrote, the players may see any prospective financial losses as the burden of the owners. And it should be. That is absolutely right. And the NFL. The NFL, that's why the right thing to do, the right call would be to cancel the season and pay all your fucking players. Pay all of them. Just pay them all. Just fucking give them their fucking contracts. Pay them as if it was, as if the season was going on. Take that hit. If they wanted to prove that they really give a shit about player safety, their coaching staff safety, the fan safety, all of that stuff. If they want to fucking, you know, toot that horn, the way to prove it is to cancel the fucking season so there's no chance of them being the direct cause of outbreaks, sicknesses, and deaths. And then subsequently pay the people that you employ. Don't make sure that they don't fucking go without their means. So anyway, here's a statement. Regardless, it would be easy for the players to say that when things are going well, the league doesn't give extra money to the players. And the players never get any of the ever-increasing value of the 32 franchises. Thus, the players could take the position that the deal is the deal. Just like the league and plenty of media members say whenever there's an aspect of the CBA that, as applied, hurts the broader interests of the players. Florio also noted that if no games are played, the league would be able to argue under the language of the standard player contract that no duty to pay player salaries ever arises. If only one game is played, the CBA supports an argument that the players get their full pay. So what that's saying is, in other words, if no games are played, if they were to cancel the season, then in the contracts already there's language saying that they wouldn't have to. And that may be the case because they're scumbags and they write that kind of language in there. So in the event for some reason, I mean, even if it was a player lockout like in 2011 because they were striking, even if that was the case, I mean, and it's probably part of the reason why they write that language in these days, you don't punish them for standing up for their rights. Like, that's absurd, and that's what that is. So they're saying in the case of some major event, or it could be, you know, a pandemic, for example, well, you know, you guys don't get paid because you didn't play. It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic going on and people are dying left and right. You know, sorry, you don't get paid. But if they play one game, apparently, then they get their full pay. I mean, so maybe they'll get their one game and then they'll get their full pay. But that's stupid because then that puts people's lives at risk. And they shouldn't have to do that just to get their full pay after playing just the one game. Because some of those people could die. They could get their paycheck but not fucking be able to cash it because they're dead. That means barring the season being played as scheduled with fans in attendance, the latter part being a major long shot or a compromise between the sides, that a labor dispute could be on the horizon, similar to what occurred in Major League Baseball. For now, training camps are scheduled to begin in late July and the regular season is scheduled to begin in early September. But it sounds like a lot of negotiating will have to happen in between given the financial complications stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, it's just absolutely sick that they continue to try and just take from, you know, they put all the responsibility on the players, the staffs, you know, of the teams and the fans. You know, all of the cost goes to them, to us, right? So, you know, we'll have to expose ourselves. I mean, I'm not going, but we'll have to expose ourselves to the virus to fucking fill up the seats that they're trying to fill at the stadium, so that way they can have games and keep their revenue, right? I mean, like, it's just gross. It's super gross, but this is what they do because this is capitalism and this is what it's designed to do. Anyway, there is the other half of this because the players did respond. So let's get into that report. The NFL stars, according to the headline, don't like this proposal, including Patrick Mahomes, who I'm pretty sure you guys have heard, just signed a 10-year contract extension with the Kansas City Chiefs that's going to pay him over $500 million. Obviously, should he see the entirety of that contract, with, I believe, over $140 million in guarantees. It's pretty insane. So, I mean, you can understand why he'd be upset if 35% of his fucking money is withheld. Although, to be fair, that won't go into effect until another 2 years because he's obviously still on his rookie contract. But anyway, some of the stars, including him, Michael Thomas, slam NFL's reported 35% escrow proposal. So it's actually really good, though, to see some of even the younger players like realizing that this is nothing more than just a scam to steal money from them to cover the fucking losses of this major multinational corporation and their billionaire owners. It's just disgusting. But let's get into the details of this and what the players had to say. The NFL reportedly proposed holding 35% of player salaries in escrow to the NFLPA on Tuesday in the event of lost revenue this season due to the COVID-19 pandemic, per Tom Pelissero of NFL Network. Pelissero also reported that union executive Don Davis told the players the message sent back to the league was to kick rocks. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes and New Orleans Saints wideout Michael Thomas were among the players to offer up a similar sentiment on social media. Coming from Michael Thomas, LOL, everyone will sit out and not play until they get their stuff together before we do this. He also said, has to be a joke, LOL, Roger, and those owners better use their billions and put it in escrow or plan accordingly. Our health is way more important. This is about as backwards as it gets. That's absolutely true. 100% true, and I couldn't have said it better myself. In fact, I didn't say it better myself. He said it far better than I did. That is 100% backwards, and their health is far more important. It's hard to imagine the NFL players ever agreeing to that sort of plan, with Pelissero reporting the NFLPA believes any escrow situation would have to be collectively bargained. If any of this feels eerily reminiscent of the early days of the MLB labor dispute, well, buckle up. We may have more heated negotiations on our hands, folks. Look, I mean, all of this ends up to either the NFL season gets canceled at some point, one way or the other, at this particular point. And I don't have a perfect prediction record. Last year I got a lot of things correct, but I also got a bunch of things wrong, and I own that. But this prediction I think is pretty solid, and I think it's quite clear that if they do start the season, open training camp and start the season, they will unquestionably have to shut down at some point due to outbreaks, people getting sick, too many players, especially star players, being quarantined, people dying, especially among probably, I would say, unfortunately, the coaching staffs, because they're older and it affects older people more. So they're going to have to do it eventually. All of this is just useless, futile nonsense for their greed. Nothing more. But if they do, and if they insist, then it's going to come at a hefty price. Because one thing that will shock the NFL is if one of their prominent coaches die. Or, imagine, as much as I dislike Bill Belichick for a number of reasons, I would not want to, including his support of Donald Trump, I might add. But that doesn't mean that I want to see him get the coronavirus because the NFL and the owners want to be greedy fuckbags. No, if he wants to go to a Trump rally and get it, okay. If I'm being honest, I don't really care, because that's his choice, man, and he obviously supports him. So if he wants to go to a Trump rally where they don't wear masks and shit and he gets it there, well, that's on him. But it would be absurd that he would be put in a situation where he could even get it because of the NFL's greed. And this is just, again, this isn't even the tip of the iceberg. This isn't the bottom of the barrel. Like, this is the tip of the iceberg, excuse me. This is the tip of the iceberg, and it's not the bottom of the barrel. I foresee the NFL showing just how ugly they really are over the next few months. Anyway, with that, guys, I'm going to get up out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Make sure you share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And, of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.